Hello everybody, welcome to Eikonics and the Eikonic Golf Swing. Today I'm going to introduce a basic pattern, elbows in, knees out. Elbows in, humerus bone on our rib cage. So trying to keep our humerus bone pressed to our rib cage, and then elbow torquing in. If we put our heels together, so I'll show you how to do a squat, and then we're going to apply the patterns from a squat to our golf swing. There are 13 movable joints in the human body: neck, shoulders, elbows, wrists, hips, knees, and ankles. Each one has a pattern that, if applied to the other, makes for an overall better pattern. So our neck, in this position, we want to think like if somebody was grabbing your neck and lifting that up, and then our head going that direction. So if you're standing, it's chin down, chest out. So we don't want our head coming forward. We don't want to come back too far. So it's drive your head up, chin down, head up, chin down, head up, chin down. Don't get your head driving up. So if at your chin neutral and then down. So the edges of our head, so there are 13, each one has an edge. So there's a neutral, in, out. Neutral, in, out. All of the edges, so in our arms and in our legs, we want to be to the outside of our feet, and ability to go up to the ball of our feet and lift our toes up. So this pattern, if I put my heels together, my knees will drive out. I'm going to press my heels together and use that for a contact support. I can bring them apart, but I want to make sure that I have my heels moving in and forward and my toes moving back. So the impulse here is heel to the midline, toe out. Heel to the midline, toes out. And then they don't move. We're going to generate shear force and torque that, so it's like that. So both feet are torquing that direction, and our hands are doing the same thing. Our hands are gripping the club and torquing that direction. So a squat, legs as straight as we can go, arms parallel, arms and legs parallel, external rotation, arms in, down to the ground. Once our head gets about knee level, you can easily let your knees break, but try to get them to go to the outside, not too much forward. What we're trying to learn here is external rotation and anterior pelvic tilt. Posterior pelvic tilt, forward hip, tends to buckle the knee, and it brings our hip in the way of our arm in our golf swing. Anterior tilt gives us room for our golf swing. Anterior tilt also helps to keep our chest down. This is a very condensed, the overall pattern is really quite complex, but It's easy enough to learn in small pieces. Elbows in, knees out. Something like that. It's really quite simple. So when you let your knees break will depend on your physiology and how mobile, how flexible you are. But if you can get your hands to the ground before your knees break, then picking up ground force with your hands, put your palms down. Learn how to put your palms this direction and torque this direction. Knees out. The impulse is out. So no matter where my knees are, I want to think out, 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 out. Stay out, 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 stay out. Otherwise, what happens to some people is they'll let their knees turn in. Especially in their golf swing, they're letting this knee turn in, their hip coming forward, and then they're getting stuck. So if we keep our knees out, we can get back into the ball quickly. If we put our hands together and torque out, you can drive your arms straight and then some and torque even more. So what we do is we generate a nice compression with our upper part of our arm and our rib cage. So this, straight, torque this direction, not this direction. So if your golf swing has your elbow rotating this direction and not this direction, you may find this really helpful in your golf swing. If our elbows are rolling out, the patterns now become infinite. You can make a million mistakes with elbows out. But if our elbows are tracking in, they can only go so far in. They'll reach, and now you're limited to making mistakes. So your golf swing is limited here, which is what we want. This would be a really good putting posture. It's unbelievably stable. And if you have a problem with yips or some kind of nervous problem, what we're doing is stabilizing this part of our arm against our chest. Stabilizing our elbow with torque. My hand is going to be gripping, just one hand, about 30 to 50 pounds worth of force. It's quite a bit of force, not no force. Like holding it gentle, not at all. I'm holding it like if I was going to hit something really hard. So I'm applying just with this finger about 10 pounds worth of force here, so that I get 10 pounds worth of force on my forearm, so that doesn't move. I don't want that wiggling around. Like that, no thank you. Pressed right in on my arm like that. My arm, I can put on my rib cage or just lift off my rib cage and torque it even more. So if I go into what I call lift, then my arms can move without being on my chest, and that gives me some freedom in a putt. But in my swing, I'm bringing it a little tighter in, torquing it a little more. We can do the same with our putt, but this amount of support, as you go forward, you'll feel. When you're feeling good, everything's working for you, you don't need to concern yourself too much. But if you're making some mistakes, the more support you can add to your swing, the more stable it'll be, the more consistent you'll be. Torque, torque. feet like this. Arms like this. So a golf swing. My wrists are doing this, not this. No rotation in my wrist. Supination, pronation, no. Just extension and flexion. So I'm taking this club and I'm going like this. Like this. That's my takeaway. I am this, then this. In my golf swing, my right arm is on my rib cage and it's going to stay there. So in this position. At no time am I going to bring my elbow off my body. This arm is coming up and torquing this direction. So as an exercise, you can practice, teach yourself how to, this is external rotation, how to press your arm into your chest and drop your thumb to the outside. This direction. So if my elbows are in, the chances of my shoulders getting injured are way less. The amount of support here is massive, especially from my neck. So I can turn that right over and then some. Turn that over and then some. And then torque it in. So turn it over and then some. Turn them in. That pattern. So as an impulse, 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 impulse. We want our hand going like that, elbow going in. Knee, impulse, going out, foot, heels in, toes out. This is a lot of information and we're just getting started. So the golf swing. Now, if I was out playing a game, maybe I would have my feet at about shoulder and then 45 degrees on the outside. And what I would do is I would rotate. I would have my heel, because I'd have shoes on, but my heel would be just on the ground, but ready to pop up. I would rotate around the heel. My whole body would rotate around this heel. And then at the top of my backswing, I'm getting to this heel, 100%, all my weight, so that now I could like lift that foot off. And now I'm gonna rotate around this heel. So if I just put my heels on the ground to give you an idea of what it would look like, but I'm not doing it on my heels, I'm doing it on my toes. So if you learn to put your heels together, you can turn, turn, turn. You'll see that this heel has a tendency to kick away when this one turns in. So by putting your heels on the ground, it helps to stabilize them. So lifting that, some people will lift that heel up. I think it's a short-term fix that has a long-term problem. Learn to keep your feet as much on the ground, getting as much ground support as you possibly can with your heel and the ball of your foot. If you learn to lift your toes up, that gives your foot more arch support. there's theories for that. So heel, heel. This position, hit and out. This position, bowed wrist, so these two, my hands are doing this in order to generate a torque in, and then they're using this for a hinge. Something like that for now.